Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Here.
Mr. Zajac.
Here.
Ms. Burnett. Here. Mr. Wardell.
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer. Here. Mr. Tallman.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here. Notice requirements, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be satisfied by the publication of said notice in the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. If everyone would please stand and join me in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the minutes of the meeting of October 23rd, 2017. Let the record reflect that all were present. What's the council's pleasure?
Receive and file.
Received and filed by Mr. Tallman,
Second.
second by Mrs. Schaefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Received, thank you. Communications is the police report for September 2017.
Okay, submitted herewith in the September 2017 monthly report from the Neptune City Police Department that summarize the following key activities are provided. Total calls for service, 916. DWI arrests, 1. Traffic accidents, 26. Narcotic incidents, 14. Violations of borough ordinance, 49. Arrests, 73. Motor vehicle summonses, 228. Schools attended, high impact supervision, Sergeant Janelle Pizek. Radar instructor course, Patrolman Andrew Hallgren. DARE, Patrolman Nicholas Morgan. Top Gun class, Patrolman Alexander Parisi. Active shooter training, Lieutenant James Isaacson, instructor. Patrolman Mark Mazzio, instructor. Patrolman Mike Kepler. That's it.
Thank you. It's council's pleasure.
Receive and file.
Received and filed by Mr. Zajac.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schaefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Received, thank you. We have no presentations this evening. I'll go right to Mayor and Council reports. Law and Ordinance Committee, Councilman Pryor.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, I don't have anything tonight, but I do want to call a meeting so we can just kind of go over the year's events. And I will be getting a hold of the committees.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Administration of Finance, Councilwoman Schaefer.
Thank you. I met with the administrator to review the budget for all departments, and all departments are within specific line items as of their budget for the third quarter. Also, on Thursday, November 9th, new furniture was delivered for the main office. We now have partitions, which will make it easier for the employees to assist individuals and to be on the phone. They won't be hearing everybody else on the telephone while they're there. As always, in an effort to save money, other employees, for instance, the code enforcement office will be receiving the furniture that was previously used for the employees in the main office. The library will have a preschool story time on Thursday, November 16th from 1 o'clock to 1:30 for ages 3.5 to 5. Also on Thursday, November 16th, storyteller Shell Am will present the true meaning of Thanksgiving for all ages. Community Center on Friday, December 1st, the tree lighting and holiday party will take place from 6 o'clock to 7:30. That's my report.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Councilman Tallman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two announcements for this evening. For the Public Works Committee, they're going to be picking up leaves until December 15th. So if you have anything, please put it up by then. And then secondarily, there were also some upgrades made to the lights on Borough Hall fairly recently. Just wanted to make that announcement. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Administration of Justice. Thank you, Zajac.
The Administrative Justice Committee met. We discussed the possible hiring of a special officer to perform duties of working court, possibly working within the school, crossing guard, etc. Basically, this would free up a regular police officer. I believe we're still in discussion with this. I think we're looking for a part-time position, but there'll be more to follow. I also attended the Neighborhood Watch meeting at the Community Center November 8th at 6 o'clock. The The gentleman from State Farm was there, but the turnout wasn't that great. I think we had a great turnout here, and we tried to move it to a bigger venue, and I don't know if people just didn't get the message, but it's either going to be rescheduled, but we're looking into that. I met with the Board of Rec on November 5th. Their meeting calendar was set for the new year. Also, basketball registration, we are looking for sponsors for the teams, for the kids. I think it's about $200 to sponsor a team. Business gets the name on the back of the shirt. It's for a great cause, so if there's anybody who would be interested in sponsoring a basketball team, please get a hold of Mr. Adcock. Also, the Neptune City Stop and Shop, along with our local PBA, set up a box to collect non-perishable food, holiday food drive. They'll be collecting food up till December 20th. Thank you, that's my report.
Thank you. Special Services, Councilwoman Renee.
Thank you, Mayor. For dog licenses, there have been 347 dog licenses issued this year and no citations. Under Shade Tree, we applied for and are still awaiting the forestry grant program approval from the state. And hopefully we'll be able to get that through to become part of Tree City USA, which we've been wanting to do for quite some time now. And the New Jersey General Assembly adopted Assembly Resolution number 216, which encourages New Jersey homeowners to plant native plants that support bee pollinations and create habitat for all kinds of pollinators. It also respectively requests NJDEP and NJDA to work together with nurseries and landscapers in the state to develop lists of native plants that would be supportive of these efforts, and to post these lists on the department websites, and encourage nurseries, landscapers, and other sources of plants to post these lists on their websites. And it would also be my hope that we would have a link on our website too with the native plants, so that our residents can be informed of that as well. And residents who live adjacent to the parks that we will be improving have requested involvement in choosing vegetation that will border their properties. They would like advance notification of open public meetings in reference to the park updates, so that they may be included in the discussions, which I hope will be taking place early next year. And as far as street lights go, the police department has made recommendations for improved lighting near the Memorial Park area, which will be considered in next year's budget. And as far as the committee goes, we will be hoping to have a committee meeting sometime within the next month with Rick and Andrew.
Okay, thank you. Human Services, Mr.
Thank-
Wardell.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be very brief. I met with Deputy Chief Reynolds recently to discuss any new information with the the fire department, and he informed me that we have another 2 applicants, which I see on the agenda today, to our candidates from the Neptune City Fire Department, which makes 4 in the last 2 months, and most of which are young, which he says is good, because they need some more young recruits. So we have Harry Conover III, who is on the agenda tonight to be approved, and also Dave Whalen to be approved. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you. For my report, I'll start by congratulating Ms. Renee and Mr. Kosas on your past election. Wish you the best, both of you. And you know, if you've been coming to the meetings, and the way I've kind of arranged the reports to be specific, because a lot of times, you know, if we have residents here and council people are talking, they don't really understand what committee they have, and again, I explained it. So each council person is chairman for a particular committee, and then that particular committee is what they should be reporting on. And it's, you know, work that we do here in the borough. And this way it just gives, you know, because I know a lot of times there's like some great stuff that happens and everybody likes to report on it, whether if it's in your committee or not. So if you get to go first and you report on what somebody else's committee did, it's just kind of, you know, just the courtesy and respecting of each other. We do have the Mayor's Ball, April 7th coming up. Those of you, I'm assuring you that the tickets will sell out, I think, very rapidly. It's for a great cause. It's for Colton and Friends. It's an organization right here in Neptune City for autism. And it's Neptune City residents who started the foundation a few years ago, and they do an amazing job within schools throughout Monmouth County, and it's just do a wonderful job, and that's where all the proceeds are going to go to their organization. So hopefully April 7th, everybody's available and they can attend. No, I think that's it. All right, we got the tree lighting covered. That's it. So I will move on to public participation for agenda items. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on agenda items? State your name and address for the record, please.
Kelly Strasis, 3 Overbrook Place, Neptune City. Is Mr. Zajak's report, is that part of the agenda? Can I just make a statement about the neighborhood watch thing? The meeting, is that part of the agenda?
No, actually, that would be a public, that'd be under public participation at the end.
Oh, all right, then I'll wait. I just wanted to say why my husband didn't come, and that might be helpful for the next one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could bring that up later, or just talk to him afterwards, you don't know. Okay. Does anybody else wish to be heard on agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, we have no old business, we'll move right to new business. Resolution 17-133, payment of bills.
I'll offer the resolution for the payment of bills.
Offered by Mrs. Schaefer,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Tallman. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted, thank you.
Resolution 2017-134, whereas NJSA 40A4:4-87 provides that the Director of the Division of Local Government Services may approve the insertion of any special item of revenue in the budget of any county or municipality when such item shall have been made available by law and the amount thereof was not determined at the time of adoption of the budget. And whereas said director may also approve the insertion of any item of appropriation for an equal amount, and whereas the Borough of Neptune City has been awarded from the State of New Jersey an amount of $1,865.87 from Body Armor Fund, and whereas the Borough of Neptune City wishes to amend its 2017 budget to include said additional revenue, and now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Neptune City hereby request the Director of Division of Local Government Services to approve the insertion of an item of revenue in the budget of the year 2017 in the sum of $1,865.87, which is now available as a revenue from miscellaneous revenues, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of the Division Director of Local Government Services, public and private revenues offset with appropriations Body Armor Fund pursuant to provisions of statute, and be it further resolved that a like sum of $1,865.87 be and the same is hereby appropriated under the caption of General Appropriations, Operations excluded from caps, Public and Private Program offset by revenues, Body Armor Fund. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk forward 2 copies of this resolution to the Director of Local Government Services.
Thank you. Would somebody like to offer that?
I'll offer the resolution for the budget amendment for Body Armor Fund.
Offered by Mrs. Schaefer,
Second.
second by Mr. Zajac. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted, thank you.
Whereas NJSA 48:4-87 provides that the Director of the Division of Local Government Services may approve the insertion of any special item of revenue in the budget of any county or municipality when such item shall have been made available by law and the amount thereof was not determined at the time of the adoption of the budget, and whereas the Director may also approve the insertion of an item of appropriation for an equal amount. And whereas the Borough of Neptune City has been awarded from the State of New Jersey an amount of $4,939.06 from Drunk Drive Enforcement Fund. And whereas the Borough of Neptune City wishes to amend its 2017 budget to include said additional revenue. And now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Neptune City hereby request the director of the Division of Local Government Services to approve the insertion of an item of revenue in the budget of the year 2017 in the sum of $4,939.06, which is now available as a revenue for miscellaneous revenue, special items of general revenue anticipated with prior written consent of the director of local government services. Public and private revenues offset with appropriations drunk driving enforcement fund pursuant to provisions of statute. And be it further resolved that a like sum of $4,939.06 be and the same is hereby appropriated under the caption of general appropriations, operations excluded from caps, public and private programs offset by revenues, drunk driving enforcement fund. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk forward 2 copies of this resolution to Director of Local Government Services.
Thank you. Would somebody like to offer that?
I'll offer.
Offered by Mr. Zajac,
Second.
second by Mrs. Schaefer. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Thank you.
Resolution 2017-136, approval of volunteer firefighter application. Whereas the Neptune City Fire Department is always in need of volunteers, and whereas the following person has made application to become a member of the Neptune City Fire Department, David Whalen Jr. And whereas the applicant has been recommended for membership by the Neptune City Fire Department, and now therefore be it resolved that David Whalen Jr. be approved as a member of the Neptune City Fire Department.
Thank you. Somebody like to offer that?
I'll offer resolution 2017-136, approval of volunteer firefighter application.
Offered by Mr. Wardell,
Second.
second by Ms. Renee. Are there any questions? I'd just like to welcome David Whalen to the Neptune City Fire Department. It always is an honor to serve your residents, and I look forward to serving with him on the fire department. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Thank you.
Resolution 2017-137, approval of volunteer firefighter application. Whereas the Neptune City Fire Department is always in need of volunteers, and whereas the following person has made application to become a member of the Neptune City Fire Department, Harry Conover III. And whereas the applicant has been recommended for membership by the Neptune City Fire Department, and now therefore be it resolved that Harry Conover III be approved as a member of the Neptune City Fire Department.
Thank you. Somebody like to offer that?
I'll offer resolution 2017-137, approval of volunteer firefighter application.
Offered by Mr. Wardell,
Second.
second by Ms. Renee. Are there any questions? Once again, I'd just like to welcome Harry Conover III to the fire department, and wish him all the best. I'll see him out there. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Resolution 17-138. Governor's Council of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Fiscal Grant Cycle, July 2014 to June 2019. Whereas the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse established the Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse in 1989 to educate and engage residents, local government, and law enforcement officials, schools, nonprofit organizations, the faith community, parents, youth, and other allies in efforts to prevent alcoholism and drug abuse in communities throughout New Jersey. Whereas the Borough Council of the Borough of Neptune City, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey recognizes that the abuse of alcohol and drugs is a serious problem in our society amongst persons of all ages, and therefore has an established municipal alliance committee. And whereas the Borough Council further recognizes that it is incumbent upon not only public officials but upon the entire community to take action to prevent such abuses in our community. And whereas the Borough Council has applied for funding to the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse through the County of Monmouth. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough of Neptune City, County of Monmouth, Borough Council does hereby authorize submission of a strategic plan for the Borough of Neptune City Municipal Alliance Grant for the fiscal year 2007, July 2017, June 2018, in the preliminary amount of Dieter Fund $10,000, cash match $2,500, in kind $7,500. Borough Council acknowledges the terms and conditions for administering municipal alliance grant including the administrative compliance and audit requirements. This is what it,
Thank you.
that's what it was, and now that's what it is.
Right. Okay, good. Yeah, no, I'll obviously talk about that. Would somebody like to offer that?
So offered.
Offered by Mr. Tallman,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Schaefer. Are there any questions? Just want to talk about this, the Neptune City Drug Alliance. I've fortunately been a member for many years, even prior to getting involved in local government. We've had a drug alliance here in Neptune City. There's been some years where it was really active, and then not as active a couple other some other years. But we have a new chairperson for the Drug Alliance, and our previous grant was $300. It was a cash match of $75 and an in-kind of $225. It had gone up. It had gone back and forth over the years, but we have a very energetic committee for the Drug Alliance and a really ambitious chairperson, and they will definitely. We do a lot of work with the school with the Drug Alliance, so I just want to commend them for all the hard work. There is an excessive amount of paperwork and reports that go into this, and then once we approve tonight, there's still more reports that'll be submitted on exactly how the whole process will go. How each dollar will be spent in the community. It can go from senior citizens right down to preschool. It's a great program. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Thank you.
Resolution 2017-139, municipal service agreement between Oxford Pond and the Borough of Neptune City. Whereas Oxford Pond is a multifamily dwelling as defined by NJSA 40:66-1.2 in the Borough of Neptune City, Monmouth County, New Jersey, in which 5 or more dwelling units are leased or sold for residential purposes. Whereas in accordance with NJSA 40:66-1.1, hereafter referred to as the Act, the Borough is required either to perform certain specified services on public roads and streets in the complex, which is a multifamily dwelling as defined by NJSA 40:66-1.1, or to reimburse said complex to the extent specified in the statute for the actual cost to the complex of providing said specified services in that statute, or the actual cost to the borough provided said specified services, whichever shall be less. And now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Neptune City enter into this agreement with Oxford Pond in accordance to NJSA 40:66-1.1. The parties hereby covenant and agree.
Thank you. Would somebody like to offer that? Offered by Mr. Pryor,
Second.
second by Mrs. Schaefer. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution's adopted. Thank you.
Resolution 2017-140 of the Borough of Neptune City in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, authorizing emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-48 to fund removal and replacement of 2 rooftop HVAC units servicing the municipal building. Whereas an emergency has arisen requiring the appropriation of funds of the Borough of Neptune City in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, in the amount of $24,800 to provide for the removal and replacement of 2 rooftop HVAC units, including all work and materials necessary, therefore, and incidental thereto. Whereas the total amount of emergency appropriations created, including the appropriation to be created by this resolution, is $24,800, and 3% of the total current and utility operating appropriations in the budget for fiscal year 2017 is $263,160.81. And whereas the foregoing emergency appropriation together with prior emergency appropriations does not exceed 3% of the total operating appropriations in the budget for 2017. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. Pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-48, emergency appropriation is hereby made in the amount of $24,800 for removal and replacement of 2 rooftop HVAC units, including all work and materials necessary, therefore, and incidental thereto. The $24,800 appropriated herein is sufficient to fund the emergency improvements. 2. The emergency appropriation set forth in section 1 hereof shall be provided for in full through a bond ordinance pursuant to NJSA 40A:2-1 entitled Bond Ordinance Providing for the Removal and Replacement of 2 Rooftop HVAC Units at the Municipal Building, Borough of Neptune City, and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $24,800 therefore and authorizing the issuance of $23,560 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof, which bond ordinance will be introduced by the borough on or about November 13th and will be considered for final adoption by the borough on or about December the 11th. 2 certified copies of this resolution shall be filed with the Director of Division of Local Government Services. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Thank you. Would somebody like to offer that?
I'll offer the resolution for the emergency replacement of 2 HVAC units.
Offered by Mrs. Schaefer. Seconded by Mr. Pryor. Are there any questions?
I have a question. I'm just wondering, the final adoption isn't gonna happen until December 11th?
Correct.
Is that an error, or
No.
it needs to?
Yeah, this falls under, as far as the whole statute on emergency appropriation. So what it allows you to do, we have to go through the bonding process, but we're gonna pay for it out of capital improvement, correct?
We're going to pay for it out of the regular budget.
Out of regular budget,
And then
we'll-
provide for it in the capital through the bond ordinance. We picked December 11th because it's, everybody's busy this week at the league and such, so we won't get the advertisement in. So we figured just extend it and make it the 11th instead of trying to squeeze it into the second meeting this month.
Is it safe? I mean, I know it's running.
Well, it's not this one.
Not this one.
They're safe, they're not
not
working, it's
running.
not working.
And I think it's the air conditioner.
Yeah, it's what it is, actually, it's, the heat exchanger's gone, and it sets off the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide alarm, so they're pretty much shot. And, so on the municipal building, we have 7 rooftop units, and we've had a program we've been working on over the last several years. These rooftop units are from 1998, which is pretty much, that's a good lifetime of a packaged rooftop unit. I know that because it's what I do for a living, and to get 20 years out of a rooftop unit, that's pretty good. So we've replaced 5 through a program. It's just we couldn't. These 2 just didn't want to hear it this fall when they got turned on. So
But yes, they're safe. They're okay.
they're okay because they're off. It's just cold. So if you go to the library, bring your sweater.
Henry's office.
And Henry's office and most of the downstairs. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
So following on the heels of the resolution, I have Bond Ordinance 2017-13. Bond ordinance providing for the funding of an emergency appropriation for the replacement of 2 8.5-ton rooftop HVAC units servicing the municipal building, and by the Borough of Neptune City and the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, appropriating $24,800 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $23,560 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. The matter is ready for introduction at this time.
Thank you. Would somebody like to offer that?
So offered.
Offered by Mr. Tallman,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Schaefer. We did that. We don't want to go to the next one. Is there any questions?
One more question. Where did the quote come from? Did somebody come in and?
Yeah, we've had vendors come in and give quotes. This happened, I think, Thursday or Friday, so we had time to Wednesday, get people in, take a look, figure out what was wrong with it. There was a potential repair, but it was thousands of dollars to repair a 20-year-old rooftop unit, so, yeah, not a very good investment. So, I mean, and hopefully, they'll last another 20 years once, and then we won't have to worry about it again.
And do you have a contractor in mind already to do the work?
Yeah, they've got some prices, I think, yeah,
I think that's my only concern is because we've been talking about doing this for years, and then now it's all of a sudden it's an emergency
Well, we have been doing it for years.
with the other five, right?
We have been doing it. So, we don't wanna go out and bond for, $150,000 to put rooftop units on the building all at one time, especially if they were working. These two this fall, they decided they were done. And, there's really no prediction. Over the last couple of years, we've replaced the 5. Unfortunately, these two, so we have been working on it. Our public works, building maintenance, they have a pretty good maintenance plan and program in place. It's just unfortunately, it didn't pan out. So that's why.
My just concern is that it's not going out to bid, and that a job is being handed to somebody, we don't know who that somebody is, and if it's.
Well, that's not necessarily true. You're not handing a job to someone. It is kind of out to bid. We go get some pricing. But to go out to bid is
It's a process.
it's quite a process, and I can assure you that it will be substantially more money if we had to wait and then go out to bid for it too. And it could be, by the time you advertise and get specs, and we've got to draw up specs, there's quite a process to go through, which encumbers a lot more, more time and money. So, I mean, they're not just handing a contract to someone.
Right, but it also includes more transparency, which is my point.
As far as,
Going out to bid with contractors.
well, if we could go out to bid, but I think it would be kind of pointless at this point. We have no heat. It's deemed an emergency. It's a very fair price. I believe we've got a couple of quotes. Mr. DeVos has got, we've done this before. We've gotten quotes. We don't just hand contracts out. I mean, it doesn't work that way. So hopefully that makes you feel comfortable. We're not handing something out. There's also, if it was inside the bid threshold, it wouldn't make a difference. Or if you went with a state contract, it wouldn't make a difference. But the state contract is higher than us getting quotes to have it fixed in emergency repair. So hopefully that, we do want to save money. I mean, we get the rooftop units done and trying to save money, and hopefully nothing freezes before we get them replaced. They can't come on. Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac,
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer. Yes. Mr. Tom.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, motion to advertise. Moved by Mrs. Schaefer,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Wardell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Where was that at?
142.
I can read it, it's okay.
Okay.
I got it. Yeah, it just has the wrong year on it, that's why. I was second guessing it. Approval of emergency purchase. Whereas an emergency procurement is necessary in order to replace the air conditioning heating system in the Neptune City Borough offices. And whereas New Jersey State Statute NJSA 19:44A-20.12 allows awarding a contract that requires immediate purchase or delivery of services. And whereas since this purchase installation is of an emergent nature and does not allow time to go out for formal bid, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Neptune City approve the emergency purchase and authorize the borough administrator to solicit quotes and report be filed with the Director of Division of Local Government Services within 30 days of the date of contact.
Thank you. Would somebody like to offer that?
So offered.
Offered by Mr. Tallman,
Second.
second by Mrs. Schaefer. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pryor.
Yes.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Ms. Renee.
Yes.
Mr. Wardell.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Tallman.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you. Now, it's public participation for anything. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on any and all items? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Bruce Westcott, 41 Third Avenue, Neptune City. Just a suggestion, is it possible that maybe we can make the voting locations in one place instead of two? Maybe possibly putting them over at the rec center, either end of the building, I believe can hold them. It's really a parking problem that's over there. You know, you really can't cross those streets very easily. My mother-in-law, we used to take her every year voting and park her outside and then bring the car on the other side of the highway and get her inside and back and forth. And when I was voting this last time, the same thing, but this older man was being helped by his son, couldn't walk too very well, and he had to put him outside, go get the car, come out, and free. And so I don't think it would be a problem. And I'd just like to see what your suggestion or what your thoughts
Okay.
are. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and your concern. We can check with the Division of Elections. We don't pick the polling places. It used to be at the school years ago, if you remember, and then after 9/11 and everything, and then what the Division of Elections is, they'll actually come down and they do a full investigation or a review of the facility. But we'll call them and see what they say. It's not a bad idea. I know it's very difficult to get in and out of there to vote, but they will. We can give them a call and see what they say. They may be fine with it. If they go down to the community center and say it's adequate, I know they have some different things. How far away they want people to have to go, how many people they want in the building at one time, how much interaction, and they have a whole list of criteria. So, but we can ask them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
George Christie, 79 Lincoln Avenue, Neptune City. I got two issues actually, but two questions. One is and it's really kind of an ongoing thing, the TFH, the smell of TFH, oftentimes is pretty offensive in my neighborhood, and we don't know what to do about that. We call the police, we got a call from the health department. I'm not sure it's a health issue, but it is an offensive smell. So I want to know, do you have any suggestions?
Yes. Have you? Thank you for coming. Have you called the police?
Yeah.
And they've come over and they made reports.
Yes.
Okay. So we've been through this one time, and we've been through this in the past with TFH, and when we have enough, I hate to say it, I encourage everyone, call the police if you're offended by it. Allow the police to make the report so that when we go talk to them, we have that backup and say, listen, you need to solve that. You need to solve that problem. So that would be my suggestion right now. We can talk to them. I've had several conversations with them now. They assured me that the smell was going to go away once the building was done and they had everything hooked up. And I agree with you. I do smell it. I definitely smell it. I'm not arguing with you that it's out there.
So it's now the building's finished. It's supposed to be finished.
That is what they stressed to us in the beginning. So we will be addressing it. We're actually having meetings with them right now on probably your second question or your second concern is the parking, right?
No. The
Oh.
park, well, that.
I thought that was that all part of
But,
one?
you raised one. It's
That's
not
on
on
mine.
not on my street. There is a parking problem over there, but the other thing that the other night there was a party at the first date, and it was late, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I guess it was breaking up, and there was police activity all over the place there, and I was just, I was told that it involved, we didn't know what it was. We was told it was involved some kind of action involving a gun. I don't know that to be true. I'm just asking you guys.
Well, I'm not aware of that. It wasn't brought to me that happened.
Well, you would know that, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would think that they would have let me know, but I will talk to the director and find out what's going on, because I do know that listen, it's happened before, not necessarily there, it's happened in probably almost every rental hall, and I can find out and make sure that they're keeping up with their first aid's keeping up with their policies on rentals and things.
Well, I would suggest that maybe they hire some kind of security when they lease out the building.
I
for a
think
party,
they do
hire
have
security.
people there. I like you said, their
I don't
policy, I
know.
don't know exactly what their policy is with their rental agreements, because they're private, really has nothing to do with the borough. They're a private entity, they rent their facility as a banquet hall, so I know they do have policies, and we could follow up with them and make sure that.
When they rent, it's their rental.
Correct.
But when they come out on the streets, it's your problem,
Absolutely.
not,
Oh, yeah,
not theirs.
absolutely. And I'll find
So-
out, I don't know about that being, involving a gun, that I would have been informed of, I'm sure. So I will follow up.
They were searching around quite a bit out there, I don't know what they were searching for.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, I'm Monique Retaco, Third Avenue. Has there been consideration, first of all, congratulations to Pamela and Glenn, and thank you, Barbara, for all your service. Appreciate it. Has there been consideration for Neptune Boulevard maybe having the cars be on like one side of the street at some point? Because when you're coming on that, it's crazy where we have to wait for cars to pass. Has there been any consideration with doing that, where maybe alternating, the sides of the street where the cars can park?
I don't know that that's been considered. We could look into it. I have to check and see, is Neptune Avenue, that's a county route, isn't it? It's a county route, because it goes, and they have a weird way of doing it. It's like, if it goes from one county route to another county route, that's a county route.
Oh, okay,
So
if I'm talking right, it's off the, at the end of
Right
Third,
by the
that-
Gulf
that
Station?
Neptune
Yes, Neptune
Boulevard,
yeah,
right?
Neptune Avenue.
Neptune Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can ask them about it. I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
right there, to try and make that right or the left, if, it's,
traffic.
yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's tough just turning off Sweeney Avenue.
Yeah.
Joanne Drennan. I had no intentions of asking a question, but when he was talking about TFH, it just dawned on me. If they don't follow your ordinance, then do they get fined? I know you say you send the police, but do you go further than that? And if there's an ordinance against the odor, will that company get fined?
I would say if there was an ordinance against the odor, but I don't know a particular ordinance that.
Well, it might not say odor, but I'm
Right,
sure there's an ordinance against offending people or impacting on their lifestyle.
Eventually they will end up in court. They can be fined, they can end up in
So
court.
these people should follow through with their complaints.
We've gotten them to comply in the past, as and sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to just stay on top of it, and we'll take that. And like I said, I'm in meetings with them right now because they are finishing up the building, the old gas station there on the corner of 35 and what's that, Green or? Yeah. Green. They purchased that for additional parking to alleviate parking in the neighborhoods. So yes, the answer to your question, if it persists, yes, they can
So
end up in
then
court.
all those neighbors
They
should
can end
follow
up-
through.
You
Well,
should.
who
Well,
filed-
and who did, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Colleen Christie from 79 Lincoln Avenue. Who determines that it's offensive?
You have to have enough complaints.
Well, but
Yes
that's
and no.
not what we
It's-
were originally
Yeah,
told. and
It's
when-
actually, it's through the county board of health.
Okay, because
So-
she did call us and we returned her call twice and there was no follow-up after that. So we haven't called the police after the first time. I mean, I kind of feel like it's a burden to have a police officer come to your house
No,
every
because what
time.
he's gonna do is he's working, let him do a report so that we have, it's called a CAD file. So they have a file on it, so, you know, when we go to the TFH and say, listen, I got 25 complaints. If I go there and say people have been complaining, if we don't have anything saying,
Document
it's
it.
not really people complaining.
You need a written record of
Yeah,
it.
let's
You have to
call the
document
police, let them just do, it takes them a couple minutes, they just do a little report on it, it goes in the computer system, and then, you know, we can compile that, and this way, if they do have to come up in front of the judge has that ammunition also from, you know, it's just a process, so, I know they could rectify it, they have in the past, it probably costs, you know, cost them some more money, and nobody likes to spend money, so we're probably trying to get away with it, but, you know, make the calls.
Good.
You know, and like I said, the borough doesn't determine whether if it's a nuisance, and I'll tell you what'll happen is if you call the Department of Health, call them back, and if you're not getting a response, call here and leave a message, and then I'll call, and I'll find out why they're not responding to our residents on calls. And they'll actually come out to you. They'll come out to your house, and they'll observe it themselves too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Kelly Strauss is 3 Overbrook Place. Number one, I'll tell you about the neighborhood watch. He just suggested that he didn't want to go if there was an insurance salesperson there. He went to one already and said
Right.
that was enough.
Right.
And that if it pertained to the neighborhood and what might be going on in the neighborhood, that he would be interested in being there.
Right, it was more of a courtesy to the neighborhood more than in promoting
Right.
his insurance. And I think we made that clear when we set it all up, that it had nothing to do with the borough or the police or he's just a local guy, that's why we.
Right, and I get that, and it's great. I'm just telling you what he, you know, his personal opinion, so perhaps that might be the reason. The next thing is, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but the agenda items on the internet, if I had them, I would have known to ask the questions, actually that Pamela asked about the AC. I would have asked those very questions. And I also would have asked, how many bids did you get? I didn't hear that.
I don't know off the top of my head. I really don't.
Okay.
And again, the municipal, the agenda, the resolutions and all that stuff, they do not go
But it's
on the
here.
internet.
But it's here, you could just scan it. I
Yeah.
could see it an hour before I
It
came.
doesn't, yeah, but I'm sorry, Mr. Stratus, it doesn't work that way. This governing body has a responsibility, and they've been elected
Right.
to do the job as a council. And they receive that information on Friday, or Friday afternoon, for them to review. And a lot of times it can be changed as a work product. Sometimes it can, even today, things can have changed. So the agenda can be modified, and it's really not fair to the elected officials who represent to have the residents, you know, coming to, you know, I don't know how you're gonna say it.
I get you.
On
You're
things
not
that
gonna
they're,
change it.
because they have you know, as an elected official, they have a responsibility that they're given from the residents, and that's what they're doing. They're making those decisions. You can come and question every single thing we do, but it is all in writing. It's all followed by statute. Nobody's doing anything wrong. You have every right to ask a question, and I'll give you all that information. It's just I'm not going to give it to you. I can't give it to the residents at the same time that the governing body receives it.
Well, I
It's
wasn't
not
really asking for
protocol
that.
and-
Maybe the day of, just so that I have a few minutes to look at it. I guess I'd have to come here an hour before to write up all my questions, you know? Because then you vote on it at the same meeting that I'm sitting
Correct.
at. So
Yeah.
what if I brought up a point that maybe you didn't think of and it changed your votes?
I don't know what to tell you about that.
I know. All right, okay, so that's one thing. And then my next thing would be the election. I moved here 29 years ago because there were people burning crosses on the front lawns in the town that I was selling real estate. I have to tell you, I received a letter in my mailbox with your signature on it. It was printed, but it was yours. and it referred to someone's other community. I have to tell you, it broke my heart. I raised my children
So,
here.
You got a letter from me that said someone's other.
Your name was on it.
What do you mean someone's other community?
What do you?
That our Pamela Renee, our candidate, was not supportive of our community. She was supportive of another community.
I don't think that the letter said that.
No, not
If it-
quite that.
it-
No,
well,
not quite
if-
that.
Well, no, that's, because I'm not gonna get into politics.
No.
But if you can assume a word means anything you'd like. And I'm sorry if that's how you feel, if you
It
go
did, it
right
came
to
across
something.
that way. It
Well,
came
that to
across.
you, maybe to you. It's an opinion maybe, but, I'm not gonna get into politics.
Okay, I just want to tell you
'cause
how sad
we
I
don't
am.
wanna, we're not gonna make politics, this is not a place to discuss politics. And that's what I've said before, we are here to conduct municipal business.
That's right, so in that vein.
Political business this is not the place. The politics are over, the election is over, it's been like this now for the last couple years. It's not a good time in Neptune City, but it's the new politics of Neptune City. So but it's not for this council chambers, this is for conducting municipal business.
I do find that offensive, I have to tell you.
What offensive?
That whole spiel.
Yeah, what you just
Yeah,
said.
what you just said.
All right,
I agree
but
with that,
don't,
too.
let's
You may
not
not
be a
realize
riot.
what you
That's
said.
not appropriate.
No, I'm not gonna argue.
It's offensive, that's all I'm gonna say. Barbara, thank you
sorry
for
you feel
your
that way.
service. Pamela and Glenn, thank you for running and
Does anybody else wish to be heard?
I
Please
just,
stand up, please.
I have a question. No, go ahead.
Keith All, 98 Ridge. Actually, two questions. One, you had brought up about Mr. Gershenbaum did some requests for lighting next year for the Memorial Center, I believe.
I'm sorry.
Lighting.
Memorial Park.
Memorial Park for next year's budget to incorporate. About 4 months ago, I made a quick mention to you about Ridge Avenue, by the back of the bus company, about adding a street light. Just wondering if he could or maybe
I have
possibly.
not seen their report, but we can put that on there, Ridge Avenue, we can have them look, it may be on there,
Okay, yeah, maybe we could add that in there, or maybe possibly.
Yeah, we
look at
can-
it.
I can
talk.
comment on that.
Yeah, is it?
I did make that request, and they did look into it, and they said that it was not, they weren't gonna do anything about it, is basically what they said.
And secondly, reference to the same property, the bus company in the October 26th, I believe, the coaster, there was a DEP request to do some remediation of the grounds there.
Right.
Did the borough have any input on that, or
No.
the engineer look it over?
No, that site is actually, if you look at the front of the building, there's a big placard from the DEP that it's a site that they constantly monitor.
Right, but they're gonna do some remediation, which, it said, you have 30 days of printing to have an opinion whether, or request some more documentation. And my concern is, I don't know how many people know that there's, Alberta Lake connects to Sylvan Lake, and it runs diagonally through that property. I'm not sure if they addressed that, or if they know that. People that have been around a long time know that, and whether that's an underground stream or it's an old boxed in stream, if that would be impacted because they're gonna be putting over 6 million gallons of water into that ground in order to pull the oils out and gas out. So my concern was, being right there, being 30 feet away from that property, and, my sump pump pumping out to yards and street and storm drains. If that was the borough would look into, or definitely have an input into.
Yeah, I can reach out to the engineer and find out what information we have, and contact the state and find out what exactly is going on.
Right, because that's something they might not know that's been there forever, that underground stream.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely check. I mean, I do know there's a stream that runs underneath there.
Right, right, and that's 6 million gallons of water added to it, should just, we don't want to pollute the lake.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. If a resident was interested in getting involved with the rec committee or the municipal alliance, who would they contact?
Anyone else wish to be heard? State your name and address for record, please.
Stephanie Sullivan, 27 Steiner Avenue. I'm just, you're gonna say politics, separate, whatever. I just wanna point out that when you separate communities, and I'm not necessarily saying you in particular, but remember that we have kids in that community, and when they see literature like that separating them, it's not a good message.
Coming from the Republican side, not the Democratic side.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? State your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Jen Coombs. What are the names of the vendors for the emergency?
I don't have them in front of me. Sorry.
Okay, that's my question.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn. Offered by Mr. Tolman.
Second.
So Mrs. Schaefer. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.